Everybody needs someone, someone, something, someone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All black everything. You know how it is. Appreciate you for checking us out. We back, Tavistock Institute. We almost finished. Well, we getting close to the middle. Moving right along. Chapter 4, The Doors of Perception, the CIA Psychedelic Revolution. We're sharing this information in spurts, powerful information with these pages. Do your own research. Don't take my word for it. We just sharing information, waking the sleepy giants up. Like it, share, subscribe it. All black everything. Think it's plight. And the new handle is also Big Dreams and Mini Streams. Check us out. I do not own the rights to this music. Peace to the King, Bobby Woe Mac. And we keep it in moving. Share this information, y'all. Put that notification up too. And it says, Chapter 4, the Doors of Perception, the CIA Psychedelic Revolution. For the opening of this chapter, I want to refer the reader to an excellent article by Michael Mincino. Quote, the Frankfurt School and Political Correctness, he writes. The simmering unrest on campus in the 1960s might well, too, have passed or had a positive outcome were it not for the traumatic decapitation of the notion through the Kennedy assassination, plus the simultaneous introduction of widespread drug use. Y'all remember that? Woodstock. Do your diligence. It's not no coincidence. And it says drugs had always been an analytical tool of the 19th century romantics, like the French symbolists, and were popular among the European and American bohemian fringe well into the post World War II period. So it ain't just begin. But in the second extensive experimentation, but in the second half of the 1950s, the CIA and allied intelligence services began extensive experimentation with the hallucinogen LSD to investigate its potential for social control. It has now been documented that millions of doses of the chemical were produced and disseminated under the aegis of the CIA's Operation MK Ultra. LSD became the drug of choice within the agency itself, slowly making its way into academia, from there into society at large. If you weren't there, you can go ahead and go back. They always let the information out, so-called the true information out decades later. If you don't know that, pay attention to what's been going on. Go back 10, 15 years. And it says, quote, for instance, it was OSS Research and Analysis Branch veteran Gregory Bateson who turned on the beat poet Allen Ginsberg to an U.S. Navy LSD experiment in Palo Alto, California. Not only Ginsberg, but novelist Ken Casey and the original members of the Grateful Dead rock group opened the doors of perception courtesy the Navy, end quote. Many young people became deadheads. I don't know why you want to call yourself one of those, but following the Grateful Dead on tour, veteran investigative journalist Jim Keith writes, quote, an FBI internal memo from 1968 mentions employment of the Grateful Dead as an avenue to channel youth, dissonant and rebellion into more benign and non-threatening directions. They always target the youth. You ask yourself why. Because the youth rule the world. Whitney Houston told you that one. Youth are the future. They performed a vital service in distracting many young persons into drugs and mysticism rather than politics, end quote. Distractions, cell phones, tablets. That's the 2022 distractions. It says here the guru of the psychedelic revolution, Timothy Leary, quote, first heard about hallucinogens in 1957 from Life magazine, whose publisher, Henry Luce, was often given government acid, like many other opinion shapers. Mhm. And began his career as a CIA contract employee at a 1977 reunion of acid pioneers. Leary openly admitted, everything I am, I owe to the foresight of the CIA, end quote. In his book titled Understanding, Dr. Humphrey Osmond wrote, quote, the introduction of the principal psychedelic drugs in the 1960s was a result of the CIA's investigation into its possible military use, end quote. The experiments under different code names were conducted at more than 80 university campuses and involuntarily helped to popularize LSD. Thousands of university students were used as unwitting guinea pigs, or willful ignorance, which one you think you are part of. Soon the students started synthesizing their own acid. Beginning in 1962, the RAND Corporation, National Defense Research Institute of Santa Monica, California, also began a secret 4-year study in experimental psychosis as a tool for psychiatric evaluation using LSD, peyote, and marijuana. RAND, an outgrowth of the Wartime Strategic Bombing Survey, a cost analysis study of the psychological effects of the bombings of German population centers, is a federally funded think tank sponsored by the Office of the Secretary of Defense and the Council on Foreign Relations. The study was based on the work of psychiatrist W.H. McLaughlin, who conducted preparatory research on the long on certain attitudes and normals. An experimental proposal. Michael Mencino explains the phenomenon in Fidelio magazine, winter 1992. Quote, hallucinogens have the singular effect of making the victims asocial, totally self-centered, and concerned with objects, not people. Even the most banal objects take on the aura which Benjamin had talked about and had become timeless and disillusionary profound. In other words, hallucinogens instantaneously achieve a state of mind identical to that prescribed by the Frankfurt School theories. And the popularization of these chemicals created a vast psychological liability for bringing those theories into practice. Thus, the situation at the beginning of the 1960s represented a brilliant re entry point for the Frankfurt School, and it was fully exploited. One of the crowning ironies of of the now generation of 1964 on is that for all its protestations of utterly modernity, none of its ideas or artifacts was less than 30 years old at that time. Mm-mm-mm. See how they do it decade by decade, 50s, 60s, 70s, so on and so forth. That's the beginning of chapter 4. We're going to leave it right there. We're going to come back. Thank you for checking us out. All Black Everything. Thank you, Spike. Thumbs up like you're hitchhiking. Like it, share, subscribe it. Put the notification bell on so next time we come on, you know it. All Black Everything. Appreciate you. Come on back. Big things, many streams, baby. Peace and love. Mm-hmm.